Smart 24, driving business.
A very warm welcome and thank you very much for joining us here wherever you're catching us from. This is time for financial markets, and a big concern, of course, besides it being a concern, I shouldn't actually call it a concern. It's a big move for those of you in the financial market space to ideally get to understand more of what we have in stock for you in regards to the conversations in the show today. But pretty much before we get into all this, remember all the conversations here and the show itself, Financial Markets, being brought to you by the Zabo platform. And if you want to kickstart off your investment journey, that is for those who want to invest in various securities, including the government bonds, you can use the USSD code *292# to kickstart off your investment. Remember, all you need to do is to register using your national identification number, and in the next 24 hours, you will be able to invest with the platform. With a minimum of 15,000 Ugandan shillings, for example, you can easily invest in government bonds. The markets on the platform are open from 8:15 a.m. That is from Monday to Friday till 3:15 p.m. East African Standard Time. You should as well note that these markets are fully closed during the weekends and on public holidays. Zabo, My Money, My Future. It is powered by Altx Eastafrica, which does remind you to do something new. Now, well, as we speak, Altx Eastafrica, some big news for those of you who are trading out there. You get to realize that now Safaricom has already kicked off its trading on the Altx Eastafrica. And so the debut of Safaricom Limited kicked off Wednesday, today, that is the 26th of July 2023. To discuss this and more and how we've reached this point and what a milestone to think deeper about, we are joined by the CEO of Altx Eastafrica, Mr. Joseph Chitamirike, to give us more of an insightful understanding of this particular milestone. Many thanks for joining us, sir.
Thank you. Good morning. Good afternoon, viewers.
Okay, yes. As we dive into this conversation, really, first and foremost, what does this mean for Altx Eastafrica?
Safaricom is just the beginning of our equities program. You know that for the last 7 years, we have been trading bonds. We've been trading Uganda government bonds, Kenya government bonds, yes, and exchange traded funds built using Uganda government bonds. So we've been in the bond market since we opened the exchange in 2016. So this is the beginning of the opening of our equities segment. And Safaricom is the first to be listed in that space. And you know, as this year rolls on, we have ambitious plans to bring you a whole new list of equities that maybe people have never even dreamt of accessing. So we'll bring equities, and we shall bring you exchange traded funds in the equities space. So we shall grow that list gradually, and opportunity by opportunity to ensure that investors enjoy their time on us.
Looking at Safaricom, what did you look at into getting Safaricom on board? And then also, do you have any other companies as well that you intend to list on the Altx Eastafrica?
Yes, Safaricom is the biggest company by revenue in East Africa, East and Central Africa, actually. So if you're an investor, you really want to be part of that story. You want to experience
that growth and expansion,
and the exciting products. Safaricom was the first to introduce mobile money in East Africa through their M-Pesa product, and they have been the first to do many things. You know, lending, you know, overnight, a number of things, and they have grown to a phenomenal size in Kenya. And their size has enabled them now to move into Ethiopia. again, they are as an East African company, it's the first telecom company to make such a move, to move into a country that is bigger than its birthplace. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because the population in Ethiopia is 120 million, while that in Kenya is just below 50 million. So they have satisfied Kenya. They have 40 million investors.
So they are now looking for the wider markets.
Taking their story to a bigger market. So, and because they've just opened in Ethiopia, we expect that it's going to drive. I mean, what we saw, the phenomenal growth we saw in Kenya, is now going to, to happen in leaps. We expect that it's going to happen in leaps in Ethiopia. So that's the opportunity. The opportunity is not so much what they have done in Kenya, it's the fact that they have now gone into a new country and they're taking all they have learned into there and doing really nice things.
Okay. And also, if you can provide an overview for the investors here in Uganda to clearly understand Safaricom. You've given us a bit of the historical background of Safaricom. When you look at its growth and financial performance, which has led to the decision of you finally saying let them also come and trade with the Altx East Africa exchange, what would be your overview of that?
Safaricom has been phenomenal. It has grown as a telephone company, but has also grown as a technology company. And it's a huge company, but it has the behavior of a small company. Because it's always growing into new spaces. It's new this, a new voice, new data product, so because of that, we expect that the growth story is going to continue. That is actually going to be better than we have seen so far. That's our expectation. And you've got to look at the company, where it has come from and what they can do in the new market. And they do have the capacity, huge capacity to move into another country and just replicate that story. So we expect the growth history to be replicated, at a bigger scale.
Yes. Of Safaricom.
Yes.
Of course, for the traders out there, you get to realize that Safaricom, which was actually founded in 1997, has actually been growing really. And you get to realize that its expansion is a story that you would love to ideally look through it and understand one of the reasons as to why you would wish to at least be part of that evolving story, and also invest in such a company, if I'm to say. But of course, when you look at working with such platforms as Altx East Africa, for example, this is an opportunity for the exchange to grow tremendously, I should say. But again, looking at bringing it into the Ugandan perspective for the Ugandan investors themselves, we're still having a limited uptake of Ugandans in this financial market space. Where do you think the issue is, before we even dive into how we can get them into this picture of Safaricom?
I think there are two main impediments.
Okay.
The first is education. And I say we have not done a tremendous job taking these opportunities out there across the population. We have focused a lot of investment activity around Kampala, and we have not taken, education across, because wherever you are, there is money to be invested, and the opportunities, when you move further out, may not be as good. But that's what's available in the further up country. So we've got to take this education out for sure. But secondly, once you take the education out, how do you get somebody in Mityana to invest? How do you get somebody in name any village? How do you get somebody sitting out there to invest? So this is why we introduced Zabo to begin with, because the telephone services and the simple SMS product is available wherever your phone is. Okay. So that's why we said we must introduce that before we start our equities products.
Okay.
So we introduced that, and we have a reach now across the country. And soon we shall be introducing it in other countries for people to have a reach into Uganda using a simple SMS. So we are doing that to ensure that where the education arrives, somebody can actually take the step to open an account and invest. So we're doing that, and we believe that will bring more Ugandans, in touch, in contact with the market every day.
Okay, and of course this brings me to also and try to understand how has the Altx exchange pretty much prepared itself for this particular immense opportunity that has been availed to it. Of course, there's a lot of background work you've actually been doing to ensure that the investors can at least get into the Safaricom space now.
Yes.
But what are some of those particular plans that you wish to enhance this kind of relationship?
Yeah, the most important thing is having the right combination of technologies.
Okay.
To ensure that the opportunity can always be accessed. There's stability on the technology front to ensure that the opportunity can always be accessed. So what we have done, in addition to Zabu, which is spreading quite well. There's a lot of growth on Zabu right now. In addition to Zabu, we have recently introduced a new web-based platform. It's called Algomax. Algomax is typically for people who prefer to work on the web. I mean, Zabu is for USSD technology. That's not web-based. No. Now Algomax is a web-based platform that can be accessed from anywhere in the world. Okay, wherever there's internet, you can access Zabu. So now that helps us to serve a segment of the market that has access to a smartphone, has access to a computer, that has access to internet. So that enables that kind of person again to reach the market the way we want them to. So in addition to the Zabu investor, that's going to be helpful. There are other integration stories that we shall be talking about to bring more people using various fintech technologies onto the platform.
Okay.
Yes.
And of course, that is something I would wish to furthermore understand. You mentioned the Zap platform, which brings me to understanding how has been the uptake when you look at it, the reception, yes, I should say, of such initiatives to enhance Ugandans' participation, especially from the local traders' perspective into the financial market space. How has been the reception of it?
By the time we introduced Zabu, the largest number of trades on Altx was coming from the smartphone. Okay, it was already coming from the smartphone. Okay, we could actually tell, the way we open accounts, the accounts are coded in a certain way that we could actually tell that the largest amount of orders was coming from smartphone. The largest amount of payments. So there's the order and then there's payments. The largest amount of payments was coming through USSD. Okay, so Zabu brought those two things together. Okay, because it looks to us like there was a sweet spot in that area that we needed to capture, to enable people with phones and to give them the convenience to reach us using the phone and using USSD payments. So what we did with Zabu was to integrate Zabu with the mobile money, mobile payments. Okay, so we've integrated with the mobile money, we've integrated with Airtel Money, and soon you'll be hearing others that we shall complete our integration with. Okay. So especially this calendar year, Zabu has done pretty well.
Okay.
Zabu has done pretty well. We have moved our investment body from to about 10 times what it was before we introduced Zabu.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's significant to us.
Okay. Let's get back to Safaricom a little bit. How does this listing impact on the company now? that is on the side of Altx East Africa? How does it impact on you in regards to the decision-making processes that are going to change a little bit more? The fact that now you're expanding bigger, how does it impact on the growth of Altx?
Safaricom, really today is the first day. We like that we have reached this point. We celebrate this point very much. We don't know how Safaricom will impact us. The work that we have done before Safaricom points us to a certain place. But it's just the first equity of a large program that we are bringing to the market. We believe if we do well, we believe in the next 12 months we shall deliver more than 30 equities onto Altx. 30 equities of the kind that Safaricom is onto Altx. So it's a global equities program, so we have access to a number of places where we can tap into the equities programs there. So we don't know yet, but we believe that the opportunities that we identify with the issue of these depository receipts are sufficiently attractive for the market to pay attention.
And I would as well wish you to, for some clarity to the viewers there, in regards to the initial offer that Safaricom has opened up with.
Yes. Yes, Safaricom has opened with an offer of 614 shillings 50.
That is Ugandan shillings, Kenyan shillings?
That's Uganda shillings. Yeah, 614 shillings 50 per share. Although our offer is broken, we break that share into 10 pieces. So we are offering a unit of that share at 61.45
shillings.
61.45 shillings. Yes. Yeah. So.
And of course, as we continue to give you a simple breakdown of the same matter, you get to realize that in regards of revenue, Safaricom Limited is the largest company within East and Central Africa. You get to realize the growth of it is actually said to have pioneered mobile money payments, that is using the USSD, or as the pioneer of the mobile money payments that has actually shaped the entire financial world within East and Central Africa, especially when it comes to banking and saving money. It is now more, at least more realistic or more safer for people, or convenient, I should say. Convenient would be the better word to use. More convenient for someone to send and receive money using their phones, because if you have your mobile phone with you, whether it's a smartphone or a simple phone you have, you can easily send money and you receive. So as we continue with our conversations though, we are first of all looking deeper into understanding the fact that Safaricom has been listed on the Altx exchange, Altx East Africa exchange. But of course, kick-starting off today is when they made their debut, as we are trying to build up on the same, but also trying to look at which other ways can the Ugandans or the Ugandan investors get into this space. With the Zabo platform, for example, you can easily become your own investor by simply investing with just your phone. And of course, like the CEO mentioned, it is going back to the fact that we want to realize the idea that anyone can invest, and with just 15,000 Ugandan shillings you can really do so. Before we even get into that particular space, you get to realize that with Zabo though, from 8:15 a.m. to 3:15 p.m. you're investing. That time, Monday to Friday, you're investing during that time. You can choose a preferred maturity period for your bond, for example, 3 to 5 years, 5 to 7, you choose for yourself. And if the money is 15,000 as minimum, that means you can still invest as more as you get going. Zabo is there, my money, my future. Altx East Africa says do something new. Well, after the break, we are coming back with more conversations, and this time around trying to look at what strategies can be laid, or what strategies are being laid by Altx to continue attracting various investors onto their various platforms, and to ensure that Ugandans can actively engage in this particular matters of securities and stock exchange, but pretty much trying to also build on to what next after Safaricom is onto the Altx exchange. What then will happen? Which other companies are they looking at in the long run? This is Financial Markets. Stick around.
Smart 24, driving business.
It's super fast internet. Oh, it's a super camera. It's a super battery.
Phone battery full.
Yeah, it's a super deal. Get the Kabode Super from MTN now at a reduced initial deposit of only 49,000 shillings and pay the balance in Pola for as low as 833 shillings per day. Grab this Super Kabode deal and get 2 GB of free MTN data every month for 8 months. Get the Kabode Super now from any MTN shop countrywide. Everywhere you go, MTN. Regulated by UCC.
Smart 24, driving business.
All right, we'll be back from the break, and you're still watching Financial Markets this very fruitful day when the Safaricom Limited has debuted on the Altx East Africa exchange. A big move, big milestone, I should say, one of the many to come, if I am to put it in that way still. But of course, we are still with the CEO of Altx East Africa, Mr. Joseph Chitamirike, as we continue to break down these matters here and there. But also, as we continue to break these matters down, remember to kickstart your investment with the Zabo platform. Zabo is a platform that is powered still by Altx East Africa. Amongst those particular platforms, this particular one was initiated and also put into the market for you to easily invest and grow your investments on a personal level. At least this time around, you don't need to rush to a broker or try to go to a bank to help you out in regards to making things move. But well, with the Zab platform, with your phone, the USSD code is *2926# from 8:15 to 3:15 Monday to Friday. You can easily get into the platform. Zabo, my money, my future. Altx East Africa, do something new. All right, now as we continue to get into the conversations, now we turn our eyes and our focus onto what next after Safaricom being listed on the Altx East Africa exchange. When you look at this particular Safaricom coming on board now, that means there are also other companies that you're actually focusing on.
Yes.
So what next now for Altx?
Of course, to build an equities program, you need to build a global equities program. You need to be looking across the world. So we are looking at many countries, many markets, and trying to identify the most attractive opportunities to get onto Altx. Many Ugandan investors, have not experienced, great reward. Great reward, and we want to ensure that we can deliver that kind of experience, starting with Safaricom. So we're looking quite a number of places. Clearly, where Safaricom came from, we are having a good look. But we are also looking at a few African markets, few other African markets, the European markets, the American markets, and some Asian markets. There are companies that we just have to try and get them into this market, just as an investment opportunity. You know, they might not be manufacturing for you, but as an investment opportunity, it just doesn't hurt. And some people might even ask, why invest in a foreign company? Why this? But when you invest in Safaricom actually pays you, which means that it's potentially an export, because the earnings come to you in Uganda. Okay, so it's potentially can be defined as an export. So we want to develop this space so that we can increase the earnings of Ugandans on their investments.
Okay.
Yes.
Of course, and when you as well look at which other plans are you employing to stay focused on the core goals and objectives of Altx East Africa in the long run, obviously?
Our strategy is simple. Simple in many ways. I mean, simple to communicate. To execute is another story. But we're looking at availability. The things that define our strategy is availability, accessibility, and affordability. It's just those three things. If once we have those three, in any opportunity, we know we're going to succeed.
Okay.
So it's just those three. So accessibility, availability, and affordability.
Okay.
It's just those three.
Now, your approach now to the global space. Let's get into your approach for the global space.
Yes.
The space, rather. What are your main focus? Are we first of all conquering the region, or we are going to shoot for the skies immediately? The opportunities come up in different places at different times. True.
So there's nothing like conquering the region. The Safaricom opportunity was there. It has been there since I don't know, almost 20 years now. Yeah. So those who didn't invest by investing on Nairobi Stock Exchange now have access to it. It's right here, and you just need to press a few buttons on your phone and you get Safaricom onto your account. Okay, which you would not do if, say, you're going to buy it in Nairobi. It's a process. If you're going to buy it in Nairobi, you have to open an account in Nairobi and then pass your funds to somebody who will pass your funds to somebody who will then place an order for you. So you don't need to exchange your money now. We've already done that. You don't need to pass your money to anybody. So from your phone, you press buy and you can actually access the opportunity.
Okay.
You access the share. So we answer the question of affordability by actually splitting the share into 10. We answer the question of accessibility because we have given you access on the phone. We answer the question of availability because the issuer of this particular security is actually delivering the stock that we require. Okay?
Yes.
So that's answered. So if you have the money, if you have money to put aside, absolutely, use your phone, or you come in through the web, and you will reach us and access the opportunity.
Okay.
And that will happen for all the securities that we are delivering. And there are going to be quite a few, but it's all the securities that we're delivering. So if we manage to do in the next 12 months 30 to 50 different securities, we think we shall have achieved the first part of our goal, to bring you the variety that you need, the securities that speak to different tastes and risk levels and risk appetites.
I know.
Yeah. So securities that speak to this kind of thing, and a return. There are people who want a return who can't access these securities. I mean, we see them on TV, we see them, all over the internet.
Okay.
But they're going to be available on Altx within a short time.
Okay, now let's look at tapping into the markets from our Ugandans, really.
Yes.
We've mentioned the idea that most Ugandans are not ready, or most of them are not having the interest of tapping into investment, let's say in government bonds, investing in securities. I'll come to the government bonds later on, by the way. But how are we going to, try to bridge this gap, which does seem to be a very wide one? But of course, the main focus of players like you is to ensure that people get into these spaces. So how are we going to ensure that we have them on board and the growth of our financial market space grows tremendously, like the way we see the competition on the Nairobi Securities Exchange?
We study, we commission studies in various markets.
Okay.
So we have, every once in a while we send out a team of consultants to look at various aspects of, a market. Even locally, we put out consultants to go and help us understand what is going on. But here we have also experienced ourselves certain things. We have learned from the investment community what certain things mean. And it's clear to us that we have people who would invest in a bond.
Okay.
And we have people who would invest in other things. Okay. And it's not even a question of education. For some, it's a question of education, and they have made a choice. For others, we don't understand bonds. Give us something else. So we meet all these people. Yeah. So we are soon sending out a consultant to understand the Kenya market, so that we can see what drives value in the Kenya exchange. Once we understand that, then we will be in a position to offer more.
Okay. And which kind of measures are being taken to protect the interests of those who are already listed on the Altx exchange?
The securities that are listed are primarily government securities. So the government securities, government of Uganda, government of Kenya, that's about it. So this is the first private sector
that is actually tapping into the space.
Yeah, private sector listing.
You mentioned government. My mind always trickles down to the government bonds, investment in the government bonds.
Yes.
ZAB is giving the opportunity of investing in there. 15,000 Ugandan shillings, the minimum to invest.
Yes.
How viable is investing in these government bonds?
No, the bonds, wow, the bonds have a yield, a return of, 14, 15, right now it's about 14 to 16%.
Yeah.
That's huge. That's huge.
So that means it's an opportunity for anyone to...
It is definitely an opportunity.
Strike, really.
It's definitely an opportunity for somebody to strike. I mean, there are other assets that yield better.
Okay.
But they're not here. So government bonds is one of the best opportunities you have in the security space. But just like government bonds have come and they're offering that kind of yield. Yeah, when the economy changes, the yield will change. When the economy changes in one way, the yield changes. So you must have. There's something called diversification. So even if you have bonds in your portfolio, you need some counterweight. To help you diversify your investment. So that's why we bring in the equities now. Okay? So we have people who have invested in bonds, and we shall show them what diversification does.
Okay. So I think it's just providing an opportunity for people to first of all get to see for themselves, and then as you clearly help them understand and differentiate, really.
Exactly.
Of course, as we continue our conversations, though, for the viewers out there, not to forget that the backdrop of the entire discussion today is rotating around the fact that Safaricom Limited has been debuted has made its debut on the Altx Eastafrica exchange this particular Wednesday, as we speak of that. And of course, they were listed on the Nairobi Securities Exchange on 9th June 2008, So you can easily see that they've actually been in this space for quite a while. That is a decade plus, close to 15 years now, if you come to think of it. So it is ideally something that you look at it. And in one of the documents coming in from the Altx East Africa part is there is a financial performance for Safaricom, which ideally shows you from 2018. That means after they had actually made 10 years. You get on the Nairobi Securities Exchange. But from 2018 to 2022, there's actually been a growth, growth that has actually been identified really in regards to revenue, in regards to profits in Kenyan shillings, cash flow, and then total assets. The growth has actually increased. The dividends, 2021 had recorded quite many, rather 2020. There is also 2018 having some huge numbers in there. But of course, this is a market that keeps on growing every other day as we continue to have these conversations. Well, when you look at Altx East Africa, per se for now, back to the fact that we are looking at how it is actually getting into this space already, how it is actually positioning itself to attract various investors from the equity sides, various securities here and there. Now, when you look at the company itself, how do you intend to differentiate yourself from the various competitors on the market?
Competitors as exchanges?
I
think we are significantly differentiated in Uganda, at least. We are totally paperless exchange. So you open your account without paper.
So it's you've already initiated the idea of the e-commerce coming through.
Yeah, we are totally paperless. So that's a differentiating factor. Second, and it's been that way since we started. Secondly, we have been trading, the only ones trading government bonds. And we started with government bonds in 2016.
Okay.
It's the only ones. Thirdly, we were really the first to get a foreign security like Kenyan government bonds onto a local platform, and we're still the only ones.
Okay.
Fourthly, in terms of asset classes, we were the pioneers of the depository receipt asset class and the exchange traded fund asset class. To do this requires quite a bit of skill. So we don't really expect that there are going to be many exchanges across Africa trying to copy.
Okay, what Altx East Africa is doing.
Copy that model. Okay. So we are quite differentiated, but the fact that we are now starting an equities program that is covering, that's going to deliver really special opportunities to the exchange is also a differentiating factor.
Okay. And of course, for companies, for example, in Uganda now, or those across the region who wish to at least get listed on the Altx East Africa, if you're to look at what needs to be done, let's first of all look at, are there some potential risks associated with being listed publicly?
I think the benefits outweigh the risks.
Okay.
Let's put it that way. If you think in terms of risks,
then that means you're scaring someone off, ideally.
But the benefits outweigh the risks substantially, yes.
So that brings me, I'm a very curious person, so I wish to understand which benefits do lie in there, because I've got many, situations where Ugandans wish to understand more of these financial markets, but they're already hearing different stories because they're not practically in there. And unless someone is practically engaging, they won't know where the benefits lie. So for the company's perspective, where are the benefits of getting listed?
Interesting. And people really have to know this, is that if you set up your company X, and you set it up with, say, $100 million, okay?
That is the start.
Initial capital, $100 million. And this company grows its business to the point where it's earning maybe revenue of maybe $1 billion a year. Okay? But remember, you just invested $100 million.
$100 million. You're starting.
Which means that the shares that you hold in that company, which you bought at $100 million, if you're now earning $1 billion a year, the value of those shares has changed. And it has gone up. And you don't know it if you're not a traded company. You don't know that value. The value of the asset that you hold. You don't know it until it is a traded share.
Okay.
So people have to understand this, is that some people here are sitting on great companies that have done great things. They are now exporting to Zambia, exporting to wherever, Congo. And they have such a business footprint, but they have not been able to extract the actual value of the share. I mean, it's interesting. They are the assets that the company holds, and the share, which is an asset that the shareholder holds, they just don't know the value. And if they just did open up the value of that, they probably, their wealth would be very different. Right now, they are holding a share certificate at par, at the same value as they bought it
at the start.
Yes.
So there is no.
So they don't.
They don't know the value they have.
They
in
just
their
don't
company.
know. And the gap between what they hold and what and the value of it today is actually a gap in our GDP calculation as a country, because that value is not realized, but it is lying there. It is idle.
So those are so
Uganda's GDP would be much higher if that value was unleashed. If that value was unleashed,
okay,
the GDP would be much higher.
So that means our companies really need to fast up into these spaces.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, for the benefit of the shareholders and for the benefit of the country. The Ministry of Finance's computation of GDP is lacking that input.
Don't you think the Ugandans are just worried about the issue to do with intangible cash? Most of the Ugandans love hard cash.
I mean, cash has a value. Cash does have a value, but it just depends what kind of asset you need to hold. I mean, you can only eat so much food. You can only drive one car at a time.
Very true.
You
will need one house at a time.
One house. It will be one bed.
Yes.
But that wealth, if it's unleashed, it can actually enable you to invest in other things, to create other super companies. So there's a lot we need to go through in that respect, but we are, by making the value of those shares idle, it doesn't help anybody.
It just weakens the economy, I should say.
Yes.
Okay. And lastly, before you get into it, Safaricom is now trading. Does this give an opportunity for anyone to quickly go in there now and start their investment journey or buying?
Absolutely. From your phone.
Okay.
You don't even have to come to Altx. From your phone, you can actually access that share.
Okay.
Yeah.
And all right.
You can start now with 15,000 shillings.
Okay.
Or you can start with multiples of 15,000. That's no problem. But you can start now from the phone.
Same USSD code, star 292.
Same, star 292.
Okay.
On Airtel is star 185.
The other is star 296 hash. Yeah, for MTN.
292. This MTN is 292.
292.
And Airtel is star 185, star 7, star 13, hash.
Okay. And well, of course, for the viewers out there, I think this is a conversation that you would definitely want for you to kickstart off your journey to investment. But before we even sign out, what would be your parting shots at the end of the entire conversation we've been having here?
Yeah, we are excited, and I hope our investors are excited. I hope those who have not yet become Altx investors are excited too. This is the beginning of a very special program. It was approved by the CMA, I think 2 years ago. But because we had to bring Zabu onto the market, and there were, COVID difficulties, we felt that the market globally was not sufficiently stable for us to tap into the opportunities. But now it's here. This is the first, and there's going to be a string of others. So set yourself up to access the new opportunities that are coming in the securities market. And I thank you.
Well, and of course, as we are setting ourselves up, the USSD code for the MTN subscribers is *292# to kickstart off your investments. There is a Zabo platform as well, because Zabo is the reason as to why we are having the financial markets, because it does power these conversations, and of course it does power the entire situation. But for all of you, if you want to kickstart off your investment, remember that from Monday to Friday, the Zabo platform is definitely open for all to go into that space. Now, for the Airtel subscribers, *185 *7 *13# is where you can easily get into the same space for Zabo. And of course, it's only during the weekends and on public holidays where you can't easily subscribe to, or you can't easily invest in government bonds and other securities. So it is upon that same particular background that we end financial markets today. I've been your host, Joram Paul Sonko, with the CEO of Altx East Africa, Mr. Joseph Chitamirike, who has actually been giving us more details in regards to investment, the space in the financial markets, but also a quick reminder that Safaricom Limited has actually made its debut on the Altx East Africa exchange. What a way to kickstart off that particular journey, of course, of investment and being part of the ever-growing brand of Altx East Africa. Till next time, have yourselves all the best for the day. Keep investing. Good day.